Hello everybody, today we are going to discuss about time and dimensions of our universe. Now, as we know, we have in our universe the three dimensions which are enough to determine the position of any certain point on a certain moment. So we need time, which we have in this universe. Now, in order to have these positions and time, it's enough to determine any position of any animal in the universe, which means we don't need a fifth dimension. But as we know, there is more from our universe than just the dimensions and time. And the question is, how do we define the fifth dimension? What is this dimension? How can we have a feeling about it? Looking to the ancient books, and according to latest discoveries, we have to assume that somehow the fifth dimension is related with the absence of time and the level of the quantum mechanics field. Now, in this case, it means that if we have a fifth dimension, that dimension is somehow timeless. And there is no time, this dimension is somehow separated with the previous dimensions. If we have the universe which is everywhere, for sure this dimension is also everywhere. But if there is no connection with the previous dimension which has time, this is a separate environment which is totally different. Now the question is, if I have this environment with no time, can I have another dimension like this one? If there is no limit, I would say I could have it. If the need to determine a certain point, it means to have one dimension with time, which is such that we have, it means we don't need another dimension with time because you already have one. But in this case, situation is totally different. There is an unlimited amount of timeless environment which we can have. And something that we know, these are the layers of the other side of the skies, or the way you want to call them. And these layers have an unlimited amount of number. Each one of these layers do not interact that much with the previous one, with the second one. There are some laws for this one which I'm going to discuss some other time. But if this environment has no time allocated, it means I can add always another dimension. I can put here an eighth dimension, so on and so forward. These dimensions are somehow different compared to the dimensions that we live in, and we don't feel them that much unless we die and we go on this side of the universe. And once we go here, we no longer see this side that much, and we can no longer take information into this side. These two sides are somehow separated by this perfect mirror, which is difficult to penetrate. Few people can do that. Now, the question is, if I have an unlimited amount of dimensions on the other side, I would ask, if we would have a universe with no time allocated, how would that look like? Let's make a mental effort and say we have a different universe, not this one, which has one dimension, two dimension, three dimension, but has no time. Can you imagine that? A universe where there is no time. In such a universe, in every single second, it will be like 1 billion years here or more. Everything would happen in an instant. This is pretty much like the world of God. It is a timeless environment which we don't see it anymore because the universe got created and time got created. Somehow, this environment was the environment before our universe got created. And this environment, we no longer see it because the universe took its place. But the world of God still remains. And this environment somehow resembles with the fifth dimension. And because we no longer see it, we say it does not exist. But it exists, although it's difficult to feel. This is exactly how the universe existed before our universe got created, because now we have this new element which is time. In a timeless environment, everything is possible. And this is what the fifth dimension looks like, and the sixth dimension, so on and so forward. Now, in order to understand this a little better, we have to draw, let's make a simple graphic, and to explain where exactly are these worlds and how do they interact, if they interact. Our world is somehow living because of mass at low speeds, which means around 1 second per second. This is time and this is speed. We live in this area. We have our lives living 1 second every second. If we drive with a car or with an airplane, it's a little faster, but usually we are in this area. And our world spins around this area only. But we already have the speed of light, and mass cannot reach this point that much. You don't see it every single day. So it doesn't make that much sense to talk about it because you only live here. So you can say about the physical laws that we know something about this area also. But if I would have a different situation and I would say, what's happening at the speed of light? We are all asking, if there is no time, what happens if you reach the speed of light? Let's imagine a separate universe where there is not that much mass, or not mass at all, only radiation, and everything is happening at the speed of light. There is no mass, and everybody is here. Absolutely, everybody is at the speed of light. But at the speed of light, time is zero. There is no time. So if you are at the speed of light, you are no longer on this side of the universe, you are on the other side. Because we already stated that everything that has no time is from fifth dimension or forwards. And everything that has time is backwards here. So if you reach an environment where there is no time, you are on the other side of the universe, which is here. And if you are below this speed of light, which has some time allocated, you are on this side of the universe, which means something that we already know. Only radiation can exist in an environment which has no time. You have to be made of radiation if you want to be here, which means you have to leave your body behind in this side of the universe and take only the radiation part of you or your soul on the other side, which means you have to wait until you die. This is how it works. You cannot be here on this side and completely understanding unless you die. Only with your soul you can pass this perfect mirror, leaving your body, which is made of mass, here on this side of the universe. These two separate worlds, this side on the other side, they are somehow everywhere. They are separated by this perfect mirror. So because this perfect mirror is difficult to cross, we say is nothing there behind it. But it doesn't mean there is nothing here because you have never crossed it. Think about it. If there is a wall which you cannot penetrate, it would be unreasonable to say there is nothing behind that wall because you have never seen it. Others have seen it, few people. But there must be something behind if there is a wall. Think about it. What is the purpose of any wall? Is to separate two environments. Something on this side and something on the other side. This wall is everywhere, it's not made of mass. It somehow separates an environment which has time and an environment which has no time. And you can penetrate it in two manners. One is wait until you die, and the other one is somehow approach it mentally by placing yourself in an environment which has no time allocated. This is somehow difficult and few people can do it, but it can be done. If these people left us a lot of books describing the other side, when we read them and we do not believe them, we say there is no other side. But once again, we go back to the story of the pyramids. If you have never seen the pyramids, it doesn't mean they do not exist because you have never seen them. They exist, although you have never seen them before. The story with the other side is as simple as that. The other side is everywhere, right now in this room. But you don't feel it because you are made of mass and you are approaching it by mass point of view. If you were approaching it from spiritual point of view, we would somehow feel it or understand it a little. But something is better than nothing. So, we have to understand there is something behind this life. And when you die and you leave your body behind in this universe, there is something which continues on the other side. Do notice there is no time here. This is forever. This is eternity. You will stay forever here until the end of time. But if there is no time, there is no end. That is the definition of forever. This is what it happens after you die. You can actually die. Only in this universe you can die. But here on the other side, you are going to stay here forever. And this is where you go after you die. These two worlds, they come together. It doesn't make sense to say this world doesn't exist because I have never been there. We cannot go there until we die. And after we die, we will go here and we will see it. But we can no longer come back because in order to come back, you need to have another body, which you does not have. You need to be born again. And in this universe, you can only have one life. This is how it works. So, in conclusion, we have a universe which has 4 dimensions. And we have to understand that beyond these 4 dimensions, there are an unlimited amount of dimensions, but you can get there only after you close your business with this side of the universe. This is how it works, and it's as simple as this one. You cannot say this world doesn't exist because you have never been there. We will all go here once we close our deal with this part of the universe. And these are the definitions of this side of the universe and the other side. This side has 4 dimensions, the other side has unlimited amount of dimensions. You can call them 2 sides of the same paper. Once you look at the side of the paper, it doesn't mean the other side is not there because you have never turned the page. You can turn the page if you want to, but if you only live your life on this side of the page, once you turn the page, you will see the other side. Only then, until then, there is nothing there. So we have to understand that is the other side of the page, and we have to be prepared for it. This is what I wanted to say, and I think it's pretty close to reality. Feel free to contact me and tell me your opinion. Thank you for watching.